Welcome back to our viewers to Tech Success, our 10th Revolution Group podcast. And today we're welcoming on Mike Pearsall. If you want to introduce yourself, Mike's from got his own firm, EntityShift. If you give us a quick intro.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So Mike Pearsall, principal consultant at EntityShift. That's my own business. I've just started this year. And I'm specialized in the Microsoft Dynamics finance and operations space, although I do extend slightly further beyond that as well.
Amazing. So today you're going to be talking around how and when companies can use contractors effectively. And we've found in the last 12 months, the contract market has really picked up in comparison to the permanent recruitment market. So do you want to kick off by giving us a 2-minute recap on your career to date?
Yeah, sure. So, I've taken, well, many people have. Many people have taken peculiar routes to entry into IT consulting. I'm one of relatively few veterans, so military veterans. I spent the first 8 years of my career as an officer in the Royal Navy, driving warships on anti-piracy and counter-narcotics operations. I moved into the commercial maritime sector. And there I did a number of different roles, including project management, sales, and development of learning technologies. I also, at that time, I was working on things. We did projects such as in-house CRM implementations and help desk implementations. So there was kind of a basis there for implementing technologies. And towards the latter part of my time with that employer, we undertook an ERP implementation. Started out with Business Central. But quickly realized that actually we needed F&O, or AX7 as it was called at that point in time. So that was the next couple of years, and after a successful global implementation, I thought, well, I like that rather a lot. So decided to pivot, as they say in consulting, and move into the implementation side of things. So I joined KPMG in 2019. And I worked with them in various different roles, including delivery, pre-sales, and even undertook a secondment into KPMG International to help with some international practice development. More recently, I've spent time with a slightly smaller partner called Node 4 Group. I say smaller, not in their capacity as Business Central, slightly smaller on the F&O side, but very much growing. And then, as I say, I decided this year to set up my own business. It was time to set that challenge and get involved. So here I am today.
Brilliant. And so what skills are sort of sought after in the contract market, would you say, currently, from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had to do a lot of thinking about this as somebody who's just started out, and particularly as my focus is on fractional work, so sort of bits of work rather than long projects. I'm effectively now a permanent job hunter, so I'm getting very broad visibility of the kind of contract roles that are available, and they are available partners and end users. Partners are recognizing the value of that interim resource.
Yes.
But there's a subtle difference between the two, I think. On one hand, the partners, you're looking for a slightly more subtle, slightly greater focus on platform knowledge and accreditations. And then end user side, I think there's a slightly greater focus on business process and specifically then understanding the unique requirements of the end user. The overall skill set is much the same: the ability to challenge, the ability to communicate clearly, document or analyze documentation, and so on. So, just that slight difference.
And actually, out of interest, do you think that sometimes these roles can be industry aligned as well, or not so much?
There's definitely a preference. Yeah, it's always beneficial. So, I mean, if I think of yeah, absolutely. You see roles that are like, oh, I need an F&O consultant with a telecoms background, or I need a CRM consultant who's done implementations in the third sector. It's absolutely the case that organizations will try and find that. Specifically, like the world I'm in is Dynamics. There's not a wealth of resource available, so the supply and demand is out of kilter, and I think for that reason, employers may not always get that specific industry experience they're looking for, and may have to settle for the underlying skill sets. Yeah.
And when have you used contractors most effectively?
Yeah, so obviously I've been partner side, and there's been contractors, and they tend to kind of come in and augment a team and just sit in naturally alongside everybody else. The standout benefit occasion for me was when I was client side, and we had a small team of contractors that were sat alongside those of us that were seconded from the business. And they were just absolutely invaluable because they brought platform knowledge, they brought ERP implementation knowledge, which our in-house team didn't have. So we knew the business, but we couldn't talk to the specifics of um, uh, sorry, we could talk to the specifics of our business, but not to how to do that in an ERP implementation. So they were able to challenge the partner. They were able to ask the right questions. They were fantastic, and I absolutely would credit that team. And I'm still in touch with a lot of them for the success of that go live. That's what inspired me to move into contracting was working with that group of people.
Right, on to the next question. Any top tips on how to integrate contractors into teams and projects?
Yeah. So look, I mean, okay, yeah, contractors are different, right? They're not employees. They don't have the same processes, so they're not undergoing performance reviews, and they're not getting the staff benefits. But well, and to that end, if they're not up to scratch, then you say goodbye to a contractor a lot quicker. But that's no reason to exclude them from any of the activities that are ongoing. And I think that's the key. That's the answer to the question, right? You should be involving contractors in team building activities, in socials. They're human beings too, right? Well, speaking for myself, right? We are human beings. So yeah, and I guess by extension, hybrid working is great. It's lovely. You and I were talking before we started recording about the kids at school, and being there a little bit more for them, perhaps from the school run and so on. But nothing builds rapport quite like interacting with people in person. And in fact, we're going to catch up next week, aren't we? So, just another example of that. Yeah. So I guess the point I'm getting at there is about, although maybe don't mandate time on site, do try and encourage and identify contractors that are willing to spend time in person and really build that rapport.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits that contractors love is that they're not too involved in businesses, that they get into politics within
Yeah.
firms. But
Yeah.
actually, it's still nice to be included, isn't it? We want to build inclusive cultures. So, and then my final question: what advice would you give in finding contract support, or if you're considering a move into the contract market?
Okay. All right. So two separate questions there. Okay. So finding support. So we're talking here about, I think the partners know what to do, right? Although arguably there's partners that are establishing, that are growing, and perhaps trying to figure out how to do this. I would say that agencies are the place to go, and not just because I'm talking to you, Catherine. It's agencies in general are the place to go. But I would say it's specialist agencies that make the difference here, because they understand the products. They can talk around the modules. It's not just, I mean, the classic thing that happens for all resources, particularly in the dynamic space, is that we get an email, we get a contact from a non-sector recruiter that says, I'm looking for somebody who does Dynamics 365. Well, what on earth do you mean by that? Because there's CRM and there's two ERPs. So that's a big sphere to cover. No one person really does that. So specialist agencies, because they understand the products, they also understand the market rates, which are unique to the sector. They vary by specialism, they vary by technology, and that kind of knowledge is invaluable. Don't go out thinking you're going to get a typical IT contractor rate for somebody who's specialized in ERP. And I suppose the last thing on that sort of that finding support side of things, and getting out there to find contractors is the network. I'm always singing from the rooftops about the power of networking and having the contacts, which of course the agencies can help with too. The second part of that question was how to consider a move into the contract market, and it's one, as I alluded to there, that I've been considering right since I did client side implementation myself, and I knew I wanted to get the partner side experience. And then it was always this case of waiting for the right time. What's the right time? What's the right time? I don't think there necessarily is a right time. It's my first sort of tip to anybody thinking about becoming a contractor. It's a case of when you feel comfortable with the element of risk that's involved, then just go for it. Do make sure you've got some experience behind you, whether it's client side or partner side. Get the experience. Make sure you can really evidence your knowledge of the platform, because you'll get caught out fast otherwise. So just make sure you're equipped. Don't go out there after a year working working for a partner and think you've got the answers.
And I find in this current market, it's like you need to have that flexible mindset, don't you? Both on a rate perspective, a location, a hybrid working. It's like I think more opportunities will come then. So
Yeah.
brilliant. It's been lovely to speak to you today. I've really loved your input on the contract market. It's definitely busy in 2024, which is a positive sign. So, and we'll look forward to welcoming you back to the podcast in the future.
I'll look forward to it. Thanks so much, Catherine. Cheers. Bye for now.